Hello, I am Tiainen, and today we're going to learn how to make a cat cave out of wool roving. This process is called wet felting. Ooh. There is no sewing required, and it's so easy that even kids can help out. Before we begin, I would like to personally thank Purple Moose Felting for donating wool to this tutorial so that you can learn. So if you appreciate them, give them a big thank you in the comment section below because they brought this wool and made this thing happen. If you need some of the wet felting supplies mentioned in this video, you can find them at Purple Moose, and there'll be more information at the end of this video about how to find them. PurpleMooseFelting.com. Here's what you'll need to get started. First, an idea. This will be a UFO themed extra large cat cave. The top will be a rainbow vortex. Today we're serving up a slice of psychedelic pizza with the bottom. And also, I'll show you how to make needle-felted cat toys. You'll need a bunch of towels. Hot water. You can either get that from a sink, from a stovetop, or from the microwave. However, make sure it's not hot enough to burn your hands because you will be touching it. A large work surface. A waterproof tablecloth. You'll also need a bar of soap or liquid soap. If you do have a bar, have something to scrape it off with, like a knife. You'll need a ladle, or something to scoop the water with.
Enough synthetic see-through fabric or mesh to cover both sides of the cave, and it should be slippery so that the wool can slide on it without felting to it.
You're going to need something to create friction, so you can either use bamboo mats. This used to be one table runner, and then I cut it into two. Or you can use bubble wrap. However, if your bubble wrap is too short to cover the entire cat cave, you can cut two pieces and then duct tape them on the smooth side so that you have twice the surface area. You're going to need enough bubble wrap or bamboo mats to cover at least one side of your cat cave. However, it is preferred if you cover both sides of your cat cave with something that's going to create friction. So make sure you have enough bubble wrap and or bamboo mats to cover both sides if you can. You're going to need something called a resist. Your resist is the solid structure that your wool is going to be wrapped around, and it's going to be rolled up. So you want to make sure it's flexible. You can either use flexible plastic, like this under sink mat I'm going to use. You can simply cut it to the shape you want it. We're going to do a big circle. Make sure it's able to be rolled up. Or you can use cardboard. Simply cut the shape you need, which for us is a big old circle if you're making a round cat cave. Cut it out of either cardboard or plastic. If you're using cardboard, wrap the cardboard in plastic wrap afterward and make sure that there's enough little holes in there that water can get in so it can get wet. This will make it roll up easier. Plastic bags. You're gonna need a whole bunch of them. You're gonna need enough to stuff your entire cat cave full so you can't fit any more in there. Other than plastic bags, you can use things like these packing things that are full of air. Or sometimes you can stuff a towel inside a plastic bag. That'll help take up a lot of space if you need to fill it out. Because these are going to be used to shape it. So make sure you have tons of plastic bags and things to stuff your cave with. You'll need wool roving. The amount you need depends on how thick you want it to be and also the size you want it to be. The thicker it is, the more sturdy the structure. If it's too thin, it can cave in. Haha, get it? Cave in. But anyway, the amount you need depends on many factors. Also, you can purchase something called core fiber. Core fiber is cheap, undyed wool. So you can use this as filler in the inside part so that you don't waste your more expensive dyed wool on the part that won't even show. Instead, just have it sandwiched. You won't even see it, and it'll save you money. 1 ounce of roving can make about a 12-inch by 12-inch square of felted fabric. However, it's kind of on the thin side. And keep in mind that wool will shrink about 20% once it's felted. So make sure that your cat cave is big enough for a cat to go into. Here's how much wool was used for this project. You may opt to wear gloves, however, it is not necessary. To make the toys and to fix imperfections in the cave, we will use a 38 gauge felting needle and a foam block. To hang toys, get some strong thread, a needle with a large eye, and scissors. One option is to have decorations that you can trap between layers of wool. Little decorations like these. Anything that's flat that can be woven in between layers of wool, such as feathers, tinsel, gems, little stickers that can be bent. Things that will work for decorations to be trapped inside between the layers of wool would include things that do not melt when exposed to hot water, and also things that have a little bit of bend to them since they're going to be rolled up. The smaller they are, the better. If it's something small like a gem, it's okay if it doesn't bend because it's small enough. Once you have your supplies, it's time to begin! Set up a waterproof workstation.
If you want to protect your floor from spills of water, you can put plastic bags underneath your tablecloth to create kind of a pool sort of thing.
I'll trace this big mirror to make a large circle. Cut your resist. It's about 61.5 centimeters across. And done. Lay down your mesh. Leave half of it hanging off the table because you're going to fold that over later. Place your resist on the mesh. And because your wool is going to overlap about 3 to 4 inches, you want to leave at least 5 inches between your resist and the end of your mesh. But if you have more space, leave more space. Now you're ready for the wool. If you have a minimal wool supply, you can now divide your wool into 2 parts. One for the top and one for the bottom. This way you won't run out of wool along the way. Make the top first, starting with the ceiling. Wool fibers are around 4 inches long, so if you pull off every 4 to 5 inches, it's going to come off very easily for you. Grab the wool that you're going to use for the ceiling and pull off little tufts of it. They're going to need to be thin because thick ones do not felt well. You can also fluff them out if they're too thick. It's better to have lots of little thin ones than more thick ones. Place the tufts facing in the same direction. We're going to do north to south for the first layer, and then each additional layer is going to point in a different direction. The first layer is north to south, the second layer is east to west, and then so on and so forth, north and south, east to west, north, south, east, west. Make sure the ends are overlapping, that way they stick together. Overlap your resist by 3 to 5 inches. As you're placing the overlapping wool, have it pointing out like the rays of a sun. This overlapping part is going to fuse with the opposite end of the cave, and it's going to fuse it into one. You can leave a gap where there's no wool that can end up being your entrance for your cat cave. However, if you don't know where you want to put the door yet, you can just make the whole thing felted and then cut out a door later with scissors. When you're done with the first layer, you can set down your second layer of wool, but these are going to be going east to west. I overlapped my resist by about 5 or 6 inches because I want to give it a little UFO saucer edge. But if you don't want this, then just go about 2 or 3 inches over your resist. If you're having a hard time pulling them and they come off in thick little bunches, you can also fluff them out and then pull. And then you'll get much thinner fluff. Bam. And each layer that you add is going to be facing the opposite direction as the layer underneath it. The inner layers are going to be hidden, so save your pretty dyed wool for the visible parts. If you have colors not used in your design, use them as filler once the wool underneath is thick enough that you can't see through it. This layer won't be visible from the outside, so I'm going to have a little bit of fun and use colors that I won't be using on the outside. Ta-da! And now, if you have it thick enough that you can't see through the wool, now you can start adding core fiber. This core fiber will add thickness. What looks poofy right now will flatten out with water. To see how thick your project actually is, press down with your hand firmly, and that will give you an estimate. The downsides to using core fiber are that if you cut through it, it'll be visible in the layers, and also if your top design shifts out of place, then the white underneath will show through. This can be fixed with a felting needle, or you can minimize it by using thicker layers of colorful wool and blending them better. Build up your layers until they're around the desired thickness. If you want to make your cave entrance now, overlap this part so it looks smooth and nice, and so you don't see the core fiber. Add wool to any bald spots.